everyone, and welcome to Essentials Podcast with Stevie and Whitney Flockhart.
Hey, everybody.
Hope you're good. So glad you've joined us. Last time, we talked about the 4 stages of parenting, and we had to call an audible, I guess, about halfway through,
Right. There's just so much.
Too much. And again, we'll talk about parenting for the months to come and the years to come, but to talk about these 4 stages and what they mean, we really just needed to go into 2 episodes. That's what today's going to be, part 2. So again, we hope this is helping you guys. Hope you've listened to that one. If you haven't, please do. And as always, we want to say rate, review, and subscribe. If this podcast has spoken into your life in any way, if it's helped you at all, please make sure that you absolutely do that.
Yeah, so Camille Joy reviews our podcast, and she said, just stumbled upon your show today. I love it. Please keep going. Sending love from Houston, Texas. So leave those reviews. Houston. You might just get a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Camille, what's up? Thank you for the review. You can leave another one if you want. Are you allowed to leave 2 reviews? You know what? Leave a review every listen if you're able. No, I'm kidding. And so part 2 today, the 4 stages of parenting. We talked about the discipline stage. That's 0 to 5-ish. Training stage, 5 to 12. Coaching stage, 13 to 18. And then the friendship stage, 18 and beyond. We talked about all 4 stages last week, but there was just so much to unpack.
Right.
We got a little bit more that we want to talk about today.
So I do think it's sweet, and I love it when, and we are guilty of it too, but people who don't have kids say, oh, when I have kids, I will never, or when I'm a mom or dad, I will always,
I was an expert at parenting before I had kids.
And everybody's guilty of it. So there's grace there, but it makes me laugh when I hear that. But the truth is, honestly, you don't know what you don't know. So that's why these 2 particular episodes are so important to us, because even if you haven't thought, or even if you have thought about parenting in like stages, maybe you haven't heard it broken down like this. And so this just has so much helpful information that can be life-giving to you and your family. So anyway, we're just
absolutely. And if you haven't, we said this last week, but do not think if you're single or if you're married without kids or you're even in your early, part of your life, like that this is irrelevant to you. I really do believe that you should be listening to it more than anybody else to prepare.
Notes.
You know what I mean? So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat sheet to get ready. And so the first stage that we talked about last week is discipline stage. Right. Just a little bit more about that. We talked about creating boundaries.
Right.
This is important in that stage. In this stage, kids thrive in structure.
They do. Kids crave boundaries. They crave rules. They crave structure. And I'm gonna don't think I'm likening kids to pets right now. Okay. But when I think,
but sometimes they very much are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But like your puppy dog is not the same as my child. I'm just saying.
I love playing fetch with my boys.
But yeah. Okay. Yeah. But my point here is that when I think about kids thriving in structure and doing well with boundaries and rules, I liken it to when you first put like an electric collar on a dog. And here's why.
Yeah. No,
so
go ahead.
Don't throw anything at me.
No,
so
I agree.
When a dog has free reign over a yard and they can just go wherever they want, and you decide, hey,
do whatever
to keep him in the yard, I'm going to put an electric fence there. So what do? You put the electric collar on him. You set up the boundaries, which are invisible at the time.
Sure.
You let him out, and he goes to where he's used to, and it might just be past where the boundaries are. And what happens? He gets shocked. He gets disciplined. There's pain involved.
And nobody does it because they want to hurt the animal.
Right.
They like, the animal to experience. They do it to protect him, to create boundaries, to keep him safe.
When the dog comes back in, you end up letting him out again, and guess what? The dog doesn't go back there because they experienced pain.
Yeah.
And so they're free to roam in their however many acres you
have.
Do
whatever you want to do in
Run
these
around,
boundaries.
Be happy, be free, but they know not to go to that place where they were.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's just my little
it's
my
great,
imagination goes.
And so that's that discipline stage where you're instructing them, you are guiding them, you're giving them boundaries and letting them know what the difference is. There's a difference, I want to say, because we've heard this before too. You'll hear it, this is the way I punish my kid, or you should never punish your kids. God never punishes his children.
Right.
Jesus took that punishment on the cross, but now there is consequences involved. There's discipline involved. There's correction, and there's guidance involved. Punishment. Go ahead.
Well, there's a difference. I was going to say there's a difference between punishment and discipline.
Yeah.
So punishment is more about gaining control of the child, whereas discipline is teaching them to gain control of themselves.
Yep.
And there's a huge difference. Discipline is responding to an action, whereas I feel like punishment is reacting.
Yeah.
And parents, we don't want to react because reaction comes from feelings, and feelings can be our worst leaders. So.
Yep, absolutely.
And another thing kids love is a schedule.
Yep. We don't always feel like making a schedule either.
Right. You definitely have to be intentional about it.
Yep.
But we definitely said this last episode, but good parenting and putting forth the effort in these stages does not happen by accident. So it's going to take some serious work. But I heard this a long time ago, and it kind of revolutionized the way I thought of parenting. But here's the quote. It was said as, if you don't make your schedule, somebody else will. And I'm just like, what other person has that freedom in my life, And so I want to be the one that makes the schedule, me and you, for our family.
Absolutely.
So that's just important.
Yep. So discipline's important, but I guess in this stage, and always for sure, but you're disciplining your kids, but it takes a lot of discipline yourself to make sure that this happens. And so then you move into the training stage. This is huge. This is where we're living right now.
Yes.
And it's a fun time. It really is. And so as we said last time, we have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So we're living in this stage right now, and we're having a blast with it.
Yeah, we are. We're working on, the 5 of us, is making room for conversations.
Yep. We had one last night.
Exactly. That is so key to this stage, making communication easy for them. The hard stuff and the easy, boring, mundane stuff. But you just got to open the door daily for them to come and just tell you about things. Communication is so key. We mentioned last week, of course, this is a good stage to start giving them some responsibilities, like the alarm clock. Teach them to do laundry. Teach them to do dishes at home. Give them freedom to do those kind of things, even if they don't do it like you would want or as perfectly.
Mowing the grass. About a year and a half ago, guys, about a year and a half ago, and it's not because I was just like a lazy bum that didn't want to mow the grass. It really was strategic, but my boys wanted to help, and so this time I guess Finn would have been like 8, maybe 9, Judah 6 or 7. And I let them, we had this electric, mower or whatever, you got to charge with batteries. And so they mowed the grass. And I just want to say. The backyard, yeah. And there were little strips of grass everywhere, There were no 90-degree, it looked like if one of them tried to give you a haircut right now. Imagine that, But, and again, don't hear this in legal. If you mow your grass and you want it to be pristine, no one's saying like, what a terrible parent. Sure, right. But I did kind of have to decide, okay, it's either going to be done exactly like I want it, or I can use this as a training thing and a response. And they were so, Daddy, come look at this, And you almost want to laugh, it's just like, wow, but it's like, man, it's amazing. And they went to bed later and I had to go take off the strips, but, but you got to and you got to let them fail too. You've got to give them this stuff.
Yep. And parents, just relax over things like this. Grass cut unevenly is not the end of the world.
Yep.
So I mentioned a second ago how you teach them to do things around the house, like vacuum. I rewind about a year and a half ago. I made Judah, our middle son, a blueberry smoothie because boy likes his fruit smoothies.
He does, yeah.
And then I disappeared somewhere. I went to go do dishes or take a shower or something. Well, I come out to the kitchen and he's no longer there. So fast forward a couple hours from there, I go upstairs to the playroom and I see a giant
huge
blue stain on our carpet upstairs. And I'm like, Judah, what the heck happened? And he's like, oh, I spilled my blueberry smoothie, but don't worry, I vacuumed it up. And immediately my heart sank.
You're so proud.
And I had butterflies in my stomach. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw our brand new Dyson vacuum with a blueberry smoothie sucked up
still
into it.
To this day, those little jokers.
There's still little crusty blueberries in my Dyson vacuum. Yes. But anyway.
And half of our security deposit, I think, when we moved out of that house to fix that.
The kid knew how to vacuum, and it it made me cry happy tears.
And here's
because
another
he
thing,
tried.
and I'm sure it's applicable for this stage, but that's where we're at. And again, I'm going to keep saying this. Don't take this either legalistic or there's just a way. We're giving you our stories, but our kids do not get in trouble for accidents. They don't. Now, if an accident occurs because of, irresponsibility or if they're running around in the house, playing tag, and hit a picture and it falls to the ground and crashes, they don't get in trouble for that. And they never have, but if we've told them, hey, stop running. Hey guys, stop. You're about to, well, then you would get in trouble, And so you've just got to, we've talked about this in conflict, where you can't make big things or small things, big things. Yeah. I think we've done a really good job at not making small things things. You know what I mean? I mean, our kid could walk to the table with a full plate of food and it fall and it crash everywhere. And we almost, touchdown, but I think that helps when it is, hey, we need to talk. We need to, they know, wait, this is serious business.
I can come to my parents for that because they don't flip out over. Ooh, I want to say something real quick too. Parents, we have got to be mindful that our kids feed off of our emotions. If they bring something small to us, if it's small to them, let's say, and we start freaking out or go to level 10, like they feed on that and they will react that way too. So even if they bring something to you that kind of makes you feel anxious or whatever, try to keep control of yourself and they'll learn to do the same.
And you do that enough, you're teaching them that's how they should respond in that. And that's not a good thing,
Another thing I do want to talk about in this stage, and I'm going to ask you, Stevie, what you think about it, but phones in the training stage.
I think you know exactly what I think about it.
But tell our listeners what you think.
Yes. Again, no legalism here. I know. But I want to speak boldly, though. I think it's lazy parenting.
What do you mean?
It's easy.
Letting a kid have a phone of their own? Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so I'm not talking about here, watch a video or do this game. Okay. But I'm talking about, okay, I've got to walk into the store and I know my kid's going to freak out if they don't. Here's a phone.
Yeah.
It's Saturday and I just want to lay on the couch all day and I don't want to be here's a tablet, Okay. Yeah. So I don't mean, going on a road trip and they're going to watch a movie. I don't mean that. I don't mean that there's strategic timing of, you get 30 minutes. I'm talking about...
What about kids having a phone?
What age? Like 9 years old? Terrible parenting.
I agree.
Yeah. 7-year-old?
Okay, let's
pretend kids should be taken away from you.
Part of this stage. So obviously we can probably agree that a 5-year-old shouldn't have their own phone.
Yeah, right. But I mean, some people do. And that's insane to me. I can't say, can I say that's insane to me? Is that okay? Yeah, it is insane to me. And so there is that responsibility. So again, that's why I cannot judge and I wouldn't shame anybody. You're like, well, you're shaming me right now. No, I'm not. But there comes to that two working parents, kids 11 or 12 years old. Okay, I understand a case of emergencies, whatever. But then again, you're talking about another bit of discipline and responsibility. Mm-hmm. Does your 11-year-old just get free reign of the phone whenever they want to get on any kind of social media? We just got to be guys,
careful.
And parents, when I say lazy parenting, let me explain what I mean by it. I absolutely mean lazy parenting, but this is what I mean. It's just easiest. Mm-hmm. Well, hold on, my friends have it, and I'm in 5th grade, but they have it and they have it. And I get to, it's well, guy, you're the parent. You're not the BFF. We talked about that friendship stage, that you can't be your 9-year-old's best friend. You know what a 9-year-old best friend does? They get them a phone.
Right.
An 11-year-old's best friend, you know what they do? They would go, what up, homie? Let's go get us a little non-traceable, at Walgreens, whatever. It's that would happen. Parents shouldn't do that. And so that's probably another and we're not going to do a part 3 here, but we might do just
Are we doing a part 3
we might do an episode on phones and I almost said cellular devices like I'm 89 years old. It's cell phones, tablets, guys.
It's just scary. And kids
is it a tool? Is it a reward?
Smart these days.
They are.
They find any way to and I don't want to sound like a helicopter parent, but because I'm so not.
No, and that's a bad thing too.
There is a difference between letting your kids experience some discomfort that will ultimately help them in the future. That's disciplined parenting. That's good. And so there's a difference between that, and there's a difference between allowing certain exposures before they're mature enough to handle it. And I think giving a phone to a child in this stage where the internet is just free reign, open wide.
Yep.
Any apps, why make it easy for them to be exposed to things that they're just not ready for?
Yeah, and that's what I mean by bad parenting.
Right.
You're putting your feelings or their feelings above what's responsible, and so we do have to move on. But that's important, and it's powerful, and it's true. Reward them, let them have it. Road trip. Couple, 30 minutes, every whatever that is. But if your kid's constantly, if your kid's walking around with a tablet 24/7, if your kid has a phone, there's just an issue there, So, and that's what I would say. So then we move on to the coaching stage. Yep.
Yes.
And this is what we're looking forward to that we're almost in. And so,
this is ages 13 to 18.
Yep. I think this is important where in this stage, and you should always be doing these things, but in this stage, you're praying for your kids' friends. You're praying for their teachers, their influencers.
Because at this stage, parents become...
they're no longer the primary influence. Yep.
Friends are their friends, and I amended this. I was just going to say friends, but then I was like, no, and the people they're interacting with on social media, because truth is, in this stage, kids probably have a phone.
Yeah.
And so whoever they're interacting with on social media, also their biggest influencers.
Yeah, and so let me say and that might be a good segue, if you're listening or if you're already mad because of what I said earlier and you're tuned out. At this stage, it's more appropriate because they're out of the house, they're doing, and I do understand the age that we live in, and communications, and we do live in a crazy world where 20 years ago a kid could leave on his bike, and our kids still do that in the neighborhood, and I love it, but on the bike for a couple hours and come home for dinner. I understand we're kind of moving into a different world, but at this stage you've got to be so much more responsible with it, parent, and you've got to put boundaries again, so again it goes back to your pet analogy, which I actually loved,
Thank you.
Hey, go wild. Run and bark and poop and
roll
play
around
and run and all that stuff.
Eat the grass.
But don't you dare leave this. And if you do, there's consequences.
Yes.
So that's where this stage would be, talking about with the phone, but with friends and social media. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, don't be deceived. Bad company destroys good people, good morals, good character. You got to be careful.
It's never too early to start praying for your kids' friends. In fact, I mean, we've been doing this for years now, and our kids aren't really at that stage yet. But pray for them, and you'll see the fruits of that when they start making their good friends. Be like, Lord, thank you for providing that.
Yep. And it doesn't mean that just because you prayed for them and you raised them the right way that they won't make mistakes and that they won't have friends. And sometimes this is funny too when. Parents will say, it's all my kids' friends. It's all my kids' friends. And there's been like a common denominator that's like, your kid maybe your kid is the bad influence right now. So maybe stop making excuses like, well, it's just they were with them or they're guilty by association. It's like there comes a time where you've got to take responsibility again and look at your child and say, no, you're making wrong decisions. You're doing the wrong thing.
But our goal is not to raise godly kids because they develop their independent minds.
Right.
Our goal is to be godly parents.
Absolutely.
At some point they take responsibility for their actions, and it is in this stage kind of when they start doing that.
That's so good. And then finally, the friendship stage. We elaborated on this a little bit last week, but I want to say again, this stage, it must happen at that 18, 19, 20 years old where they're moving into their own life, where they're solely up to their own decision. That's, again, where we're giving a little grace in the age there. It's more stages, not ages, because, not 18, get out of my house. Hold on. You might have a kid in college that you're still primarily taking. Sure. But if you have, a 27-year-old living at your house or, God forbid, a 35-year-old, it's like, this is not, y'all ain't friends. You know what I mean? You're still mommy and daddy. And so not cool. And it's hurting more than anything else. And so this is where you're enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
This is where you're becoming a friend. Let me say quickly that this must happen at this stage, not any earlier.
Right.
I said a moment ago, you can't be your 13-year-old's best friend. It's impossible. You can't be your 10-year-old's best friend. You can't even be your 16-year-old or 17-year-old's best friend. It's that time of them moving away and outside of your authority and household. That's when that friendship truly takes off.
At this point, the goal is for them to be healthy, independently functioning adults with the foundation that you have already built at home for the last 18 years. And I personally can speak firsthand what a blessing this stage can be. My parents are my friends now.
Yeah.
We have such a good relationship. I call them when I need them. They're there when I need them.
Yeah.
But they don't interject, unless they're asked. And so this is a really sweet stage.
Yep, it is. And so I guess to wrap up, no matter what stage you're in, it's never too late to go back and address new things that you've learned. So maybe don't be discouraged today. I'm sorry. Don't be discouraged today that if you haven't done the discipline stage, I have a 14-year-old and they're doing whatever, and I didn't do discipline too well or training too well. It's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world.
That's right.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, some of the most powerful conversations you could have with your kid if you haven't done these stages, like you should, is say, I'm sorry for these things. Yep. And I bet you would be surprised at how healing that can be for both of you. Sure.
And to even say, this is what I should have done, And again, if you have a 9-year-old, and the discipline didn't work, like, I believe I failed you in this area.
Yeah.
So, I didn't do this the right way.
Understand that.
Yes. And so to have conversations. So we're going to talk about parenting a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
This is all just good stuff,
It is. I love talking about it.
And we're passionate about it because we have 3 of them, these little hood rats running around that we're trying to raise to live a godly life, So we love them. Hey, we don't show them this actually, So Finn, Judah, and Isla, we love you. I know you love your kids. If you don't have kids yet, hope you're preparing for that. If you're beyond these and you needed to just apologize and own what you didn't do that you should have done, make that happen today. So as always, thank you guys so much for joining us. Rate, review, subscribe, like, what's her name?
Camille
in Houston, Texas. Thank you. And everybody else, we'll see you next time on Essentials with Stevie and Whitney Flockhart.